How do you make holy water? Well, I reckon you boil the hell out of it. Welcome to Intellectual Froglegs. You know, it's Black History Month. How many of those do we have a year anyway? And then the NBA is having Hispanic Heritage Month. Well, us old white dudes, we don't get a month. Can we have a week? How about an hour every other Thursday? And you know, then I hear some people say, well, we need to have White History Month. No, we don't. We don't need to start acting like these ignorant lefties. Yeah, that's what we need. What we need is an American History Month and include everybody. Instead of just, oh, you're not the right color. You know, sometimes fighting fire with fire just makes a bigger fire. Oh, and did you hear about the atheist group Freedom from Religion going after the Muslims? Yeah, me neither. They don't do that, do they? You can't really blame the atheists for being afraid of Muslims. They chop your head off and stuff. Christians are cool. We're easy to pick on. Kind of like how, you know how the war protesters just vanished as soon as Obama took office. Well, of course, the wars didn't.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That
wild horses. Arizona, do something about John McCain, please. Give him some applesauce. Put on some cartoons for him. Put that rhino out to graze. You know what? You ever notice that John McCain actually resembles a rhino? He's such a rhino, he's morphing into one. And then Lindsey Graham. Man, his accent's worse than mine. He makes me sound like I'm from New York City.
New York City!
So we'll just send him and Barney Frank over to help Liza Minnelli with her next garage sale. They can try on hats. But you know, when everybody is so sick of this sequester crap, I know I am, but it's those jackass politicians. Look what they've done. For 4 years, they've had no budget. Spending like drunken sailors, spinning us into oblivion, burying us and our kids and their kids and their kids' kids under mountains of debt. Without even once trying to create a budget, now all of a sudden, we have a budget problem. So what do? They demand that everybody else cut back. But what Nancy Pelosi says, taking a pay cut is beneath the dignity of the office. Yeah, I know when I think of Congress, the first word that pops into my mind is dignity. But because of their sequester fairy tale BS, our commander-in-chief just suspended tuition assistance for soldiers. Tuition assistance for soldiers. But he ain't cutting back on his golf games. And old Haji ain't playing at no cheap golf courses either. Why do I call him Haji? Tell me he don't look like the kid off Johnny Quest. I'm telling you, that's Haji. Don't let him alone with Bandit. Back on this ridiculous spending crap. Week before last, our Fed, during this crunch time, this austerity period, gave the EU, the socialist free spenders of the European Union, $100 billion in cash. Then last week, John Frankencarry gives $250 million more to the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, we have to cut back. They're cutting back the tours and letting prisoners go, and But hang on, let's go back to the 100 billion to the EU. Just 2 weeks ago. According to Ben Bernanke's own numbers, the Fed's own H8 reports, that's H8 reports, over the last couple of years, we've been quietly bailing out the EU to the tune of $1 trillion. Another $1 trillion. That's none of our business? It's none of our business? Boys, in debt means broke.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something if you wanna be with me. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something if you wanna be with me.
Next thing you know, one of these left-wing fruit bats is going to try to create some spider goat mutant so they can take over the world.
The genes from orb-weaving spiders.
Yes.
And splice them into the goats. And then the goats secrete spider silk with their milk through their udders.
But again, it gets back to the media. We would know about this if we did not have a criminally negligent media. And conservatives, generally speaking, are too apathetic to turn their asses off. Hit them in the bank account, stop being their customers. But what's that old saying? Wish in one hand and crap in the other. See which one fills up the fastest.
I'm back on the road again. It's time I'll give you now. And maybe I'll see you next time that I'm around. I stand here as a freed slave.
I know I need a haircut. Dang it, leave me alone. That's probably why I got passed over for Pope again. Did you see this? 80% of the high school graduates in New York City lack the basic skills for reading, writing, and math. 80%. But they can put a condom on a cucumber in record time. 80% of their high school graduates are too ignorant to get into community college. And then their school board actually said, yes, but we're graduating more kids. How is this preparing kids for life? And, you know, as John Wayne said, well, life's hard enough if you're not stupid. Well, he said something like that. You know, we shouldn't just be firing teachers here. We need to be stringing up these unions, canceling the union contracts. They are condemning these kids to lives of ignorance and mediocrity. Many of these kids will get no other education. When we need to get these godless parasites away from the children. You know what? If I had a school-age kid, and like most parents, unable or unqualified to provide homeschooling, I'd be begging my local church to convert to an affordable private school. Begging them. And it's a practical solution on multiple levels. I've said it 100 times. Most churches, even your smallest of churches, already have the facilities. And most of them could absolutely use the added income. Because if we can't get the schools away from the unions, we better get our kids away from the schools. Oh crap, we gotta go. Please stop by the website at intellectualfroglegs.com. Sign up for the show alerts. And there's also links there to hook up with me on Facebook and Twitter. And I cannot thank you guys enough for the awesome PayPal donations. That's what keeps us going. Anyway, please share the videos with your friends. Use force if necessary. And you know, if somebody says something, just tell them you're with the union.